Hi, I'm Clark on Temptress. Today I'm going to continue my series about stories from my travels around the world. I've sailed basically half time since 1999. I've been to some places, I've seen some things. One of the things I get asked about a lot is like, the scary stuff, right? And it comes down in most people's minds that only know about the ocean as two scary things: pirates and sharks. Well, piracy is just crime on the water, and it does happen, and there's ways to know where the crime is big and the way where the crime is small. But honestly, the most crimey place, the most place I'm afraid that I ever have sailed to is like off Miami. Most of the places I go to, there just isn't much crime. There are hot spots, like I wouldn't want to be Venezuela right now. And last I checked, which was a while ago, Honduras was a little dodgy. But, when you get near one of those places, don't dally, right? The other thing is sharks. So years ago, many years ago, in my 20s, I took scuba lessons. I was in Texas, no ocean around. And I'm taking the lessons, to get my open water card and all that. And somebody at the class asked the instructor, what about sharks? And the guy said, I tell you, if you ever see a shark, you're the luckiest man in the world. You'll just never see sharks. They just take off. So I went out sailing. I sailed out of Seattle, sailed to Hawaii, dove around Hawaii a whole bunch. Went back to Seattle. Then I sailed down the coast, and all the time I'm in the Pacific. The Pacific is full of nutrients because your water is kind of coming down from Alaska, and all the runoff of all the rivers and such are adding lots of phosphorus and nitrogen, and it's full of life, which means you can't see anything. 8-foot visibility might be a good day. And there's loads and loads of fish, but you can't see them that well. So the fishing's great, but you don't really dive and see fish that much. And I'm sure what's happening is there's loads of shark around. The shark are like, what the hell's that thing? Well, I don't know. I'm a top apex predator, so I can't mess with the idea of getting hurt. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's poison. Maybe it'll bite me. I don't know. I've got plenty of fish here to eat. So he's probably staying like just out of my vision. He's probably can't even see me, but he knows where I am because they can smell, and they're in their element and you're not. So the short of it is I never saw a shark. And I spent a couple, long time, almost 2 years, I guess, going down that coast. Spent a lot of time in Mexico. Never saw a shark. Went through the Panama Canal, and now I'm in the Kuna Empire. And the water here is Caribbean water. And it's come over from Africa under the hot sun, traveling slowly. And all the nutrition is being eaten out of this water with all the sunlight. And by the time it arrives in the Caribbean, it's dead. I mean, there's fish in it, but not like the Pacific. But you get visibility that's wonderful. So the diving's better, technically. But the actual biomass is way, way, way less. And because you can see now, well, you can see a long ways. So I'm in the San Blas, and I'm diving with this French university professor who's quite the spear fisherman. I have spear guns and stuff, but I don't eat fish. I don't know if you know that about me. I get a lot of grief because I live on a sailboat. But I've always believed that fish are bad for bioaccumulating toxins, read Signatera, but other ones, and because of overfishing. They get wildly overfished, and we're getting little fish. Okay, enough of that. So I just chose not to eat fish. I prefer chicken and beef and pork and those things. But if someone's there to eat it, and I want to, I will go hunting. So he went spearfishing, and my wife at the time and I went out and just went into more shallow waters and looked at the wonderful fish. And I won't go into the details on that because it'd make it too long of a story, but we saw some amazing things that day. So after our dive, we come back and join up with him. And Gerard, how was your fishing? And he's, I didn't get anything. I didn't see anything. There's a French angelfish, and in the ocean, they get about this big. About this wide. They still look like the aquarium fish. They're just big. And he said, they're actually good to eat. I didn't shoot her because, she's so pretty, but I think I want her now. And I had my spear gun, so I grabbed it, and he said, you shoot it and I'll eat it. So I get and they're real easy because those disc fish, they always swim a little away from you and then they turn sideways so they can see you. And they're a disc. Nothing in nature is a spear gun. Yeah, if you can't shoot a disc-shaped fish, you can't shoot anything. So we never saw it. It went for the hills, I guess. And he said, okay, there's nothing, but there is a shark. Would you like to see a shark? I'm going, I have it on authority. This will be the only shark I'll ever see in my life, right? Because I'll never see a shark. Yeah, tell us about it. So we're swimming over to where he had last seen it. And he said on the way, remember French, English is not his first language. He said, she is a sleeping shark and she has no teeth. So we get there, and it's a nurse shark. It happens to be the biggest nurse shark I've ever personally seen. It's about 8 feet long, and it was in about 35 feet of water. It was daylight. They sleep during the day. They fish during the night, and they mostly go for lobster, who come out at night, as I understand. So it's in 35 feet of water, lying on the bottom, doing what nurse sharks do. I knew nothing about nurse sharks at the time. And immediately, Gerard takes a big breath of air and goes down, and pokes it in the back, and it wriggles a bit, and he swims to the surface. And I look down, and I go, only shark I'm ever going to see in my life. It's right there. I got a perfectly good shark poking device here. I think I'll do that. Well, now the shark's been poked twice. So it comes up and swims around towards me. I have 35 feet between me and the air. I don't want to run. I grew up in the country. I grew up around like dogs that are a little rough and things like that. Always been told from a little child, never run from a predator because they have to chase you. So I wasn't going to run. So I swam across the bottom. There was it was kind of hilly, undulating, and this little hill had some rocks, probably the cause of the undulation. And I went behind the rocks. And I faced him, with my spear. It was a spear gun, but I would poke with it, so I'd have more than one shot. And it came at me, and then it turned, and it swam away, and I'm watching it and really needing air, but watching it swim away from me. And it swims, and it goes over a little hill, and, I don't know, maybe it's going to go around the edge of the hill and come back at me, but I waited, and I saw it go over the next little undulation. I said, okay. So I swim to the surface. It's probably seriously been 2.5 minutes. And my longest free dive ever was 3 minutes. And I'm a little stressed. So I swim to the surface and take a big gulp of air. And now we look down and I see that it settled back in for another day's sleep and all is well. So that's my first shark story. Don't mess with sharks. Don't mess with nurse sharks in particular, even the little ones. I found out later on in Key West area, this is a typical thing when kids and sharks mix because the little guys are in the shallow water and kids, are kids. A nurse shark isn't something that can bite you and rip your leg off, but they're like a bulldog. They bite you and never let go. And I mean, never let go. And I guess it's somewhat typical for a kid to get out of the water eventually, the ones that don't get drowned by a big one, and there's a shark on them. And their friends hold the shark and they call the ambulance, and the ambulance guys know what to do, and they put the kid in the shark in the ambulance, and they go to the hospital because you can't wrench the shark off. He's going to tear you up. And they get to the hospital and they anesthetize the shark so they can get the shark off the kid. Don't mess with nurse sharks. They are not safe. And when you go to a place that's a tourist place and they're feeding the sharks, I don't think you should do that. Yeah, sure, it's like me poking the shark. I get you really want to, but they're teaching those sharks that humans mean food. They're teaching those sharks to be in there really close to people, and they typically are a country that doesn't have lawyers like we have in the United States, and if you are there long enough, you're going to hear about tourists that are getting bit. It's happening. It's not as safe as they make it out to be. That's my first shark story. I have another one, and you just have to wait till next week for that one if you like this one. It's about a big, nasty, scary shark. Bye from Clark on Temptress.